The mother of all Bitcoin buy signals has nearly left the building, and this signal only shows up once every 4 years, lasting for a few months and never to be seen again for at least another 3 years. So if you missed this opportunity, you could be waiting another several years before you could be getting back into Bitcoin at some low risk opportunities. In this video, we're unpacking the massive Bitcoin buy signal opportunity and have a look at whether this is something we can use moving forward for the sell opportunity as well. Don't go anywhere, hit that like and subscribe. And if you're one of the fantastic viewers that have been sharing the content, thank you very, very much. Let me know in the comment section where you're sharing the content. Now, I've got a couple of things to get through later in the video, but just to let you know, within the next 24 hours, the Swyftx deal is coming off the table. Currently 0% trading fees for 2 months and 30% off TIA Premium. Our absolutely massive investing and trading education program is going up in less than 24 hours. I'll talk about this later in the video, but for now, let's have a look at the massive Bitcoin buy signal. It comes up once every 4 or so years. So let's start with where we currently sit in terms of price itself. Currently sitting around $27,800. This signal is the MVRV. You guys may have seen it before, but essentially it just lets us know when those good lower risk opportunities are to be buying BTC. What it hasn't done so well is giving us a good sell indication, because as you can see from the upper line here, the trend is getting lower and lower, but more about that in a moment. I just want to look at these buying opportunities. We're looking at where the indicator enters the green zone down here. So something nice and simple, just looking at the buy opportunities. The first time it entered was on the June dump of 2022. So this was the area that we were looking at for a very significant low in BTC. Now, I was talking about this as probably being the low, not guaranteed, but if it wasn't going to be the low, the price wouldn't go much further than 17,500. Remember at the time here, nearly 12 months ago now, there was many calls for Bitcoin going to 12K to 10K, 8K and beyond. It always happens at the bottoms. Next, we had that breakdown. After a few months, we had the breakdown of the FTX collapse, which took us to 15,500. So only $2,000 underneath that particular low, taking it to about 11%. So it really didn't go that much lower. And we could find the reason for this based in the charts, looking at the volume and the spreads to the downside, that move past the previous low, which we've covered in previous videos. So I'll go through that in more detail in the future as well. But to understand these lows and how they were forming on a macro time frame, that was the analysis that we were using. So not only that, we also saw Bitcoin drop into the green zone here, basically green telling us to buy, basically Bitcoin saying, buy me now, and you might only have a few months to do so. So what we can see from this point, we were in there in June of 2022, and we basically finally left it in March of 2023. So around about 9-month period. In the past, it hasn't lasted that long. In the previous cycle in 2018, 2019, we were in the zone here once we got that breakdown in November to, again, a slightly lower low. We had the big capitulation, and then the low really didn't go that much lower from the previous one. There you go, about 9.8%. And this was something that we covered in the videos back at the end of 2022, looking at the low potentially not going that much lower after a massive capitulation event. So it went below the previous low by roughly the same amount of percent. So this entered in November and then exited right here on the breakout in the first week of April. So we had December, January, February, March. We had 4 months. So just a few months there to DCA, and then the market left the green zone. The only time it came back was extremely briefly at the bottom here in March of 2020. So basically 12 months after it left, you had a very brief period to try and buy again, and then you saw the market take off for that next bull market. The reason why I don't often include this is because at that time, unless you were able to stick to a mechanical plan 100%, you didn't let fear take over your portfolio or your trading style, then you would have been able to buy. But if you let any of those things take over, there was no way you were buying at this low, because this was basically the pandemic. This is when everything tanked 20, 30, 50%. Most people were selling on this bar. That's how it got so low so quick, because everyone was selling. Very few were buying, and they were buying up really, really big. So you can see that the price bounced back pretty quickly from 3.8 all the way up to 5.8. And then we never saw those prices again throughout the entire cycle or throughout history. We've never seen the price go back under $10,000. Another occasion in history when Bitcoin hit that green zone, we had several more months. The first time it hit the zone, it was a little higher than anticipated. So this is the first time here in September 2014. It touched again in October 2014 for a brief week there. Then you had that final collapse into the zone. So it actually got much lower than the top of this area here at 0.2 and made it all the way down to negative 0.5. So another really, really good buying opportunity there. But if you happen to buy at the bottom of this zone here, when the market did reach that level, well, you're basically still able to average that out with the tops of the area within the zone. So the top here was approximately $280 to $300. The bottom here was approximately $280 to $300. If you're able to hold in and not get sucked into the bearish narrative that this market had to collapse past 100 and it was all over going to double digits, then you would have had a pretty good opportunity here to be buying up probably for about the next 12 months between 200 and about 300 or so dollars, as that is where the Bitcoin buy zone was. Now, there was one more time that the buy zone popped its head back into the radars of the astute investor. We dropped into the zone, as you can see here, around August to September of 2011. Again, on a pretty decent capitulation bar. Yes, the market went further down, went from basically $6 down to $2. Crazy to think that it was ever single digits, and then stayed around these levels for the next several months before finally popping its head above in around July of 2012. So all in all, if we take it from this August period to when it popped its head out again, you got 300 days, about 43 bars, basically 10 months. So a pretty solid area there. But remember, the first half of this zone, the market was still going down, basically from $6 down to $2. So it's a pretty decent drawdown on your investment, looking at 66%. So for someone to try to be buying in at that point, just watching your portfolio drop, you're really going to need a very sound plan to remain with the market. Otherwise, it's a very tough business. Now you get the bump up going all the way back to $7. And when you see that, you think, damn, it was $2 just a few weeks ago. I'm going to wait for it to drop again. It drops, only gets to 4, so halfway there. And you have still more buying opportunities. So if you can stick to a mechanical plan, just following the signals, then this thing becomes much easier. But as we know, most people are stuck in emotions, looking at what's going on in the news, the talks of different looming recessions and different problems that are going out in the space, always just stacking on bearish upon bearish news and more bearish news. Meanwhile, what's actually going on in the chart is that you're starting to form higher lows, and you're also getting higher lows in the indicator as well, telling you that the smart money is buying the currency or the asset itself, and they understand the risks involved, but they are buying it at the lows. And that's exactly what happened in 2011 to 2012 with that pump from $2 up to $250, with the next pump going all the way up to in 2013 all the way up to $1,200, and then you didn't see that drop back into the green zone until late 2014. So during those periods, you had to endure a lot of gains to the upside that maybe you'd missed if you were sucked into all of the fear back in 2011, 2012, because there was definitely a lot of turmoil in the traditional markets, which basically kept a lot of investors out of the market. Granted, most people weren't in Bitcoin at that time. Some of them started coming through in 2014, 2015, and of course, the majority came through at the peak in 2017, and the same thing happened again. No one was here in 2019, 2020. They all came back late 2020 and all of 2021 when we got to the peak. And again, maybe we're seeing the exact same thing happen in Bitcoin, where a lot of people aren't here right now. You have a lot of talk of bears, you have more talk of further downside, and the indicators showing up to get the hell into your investment before the time is up. This is just all purely based on the charts. The stuff that we are looking at here is just technicals and the facts from the information that we are given. This is how we interpret it. So are we just about to leave that zone again, never to revisit the green zone? Let's take a look at that. But first, I just wanted to give a quick recap of the price increase for TIA Premium. Within our annual membership, we go through a ton of information and structured learning around trading short-term, investing long-term, the real estate cycle, and everything else in between to help you figure out your plans when it comes to your investments or trading. And if you're planning to get out of your jobs or the grind that you're in, this is the place to go to be able to set yourself up for that financial freedom. Now, the price is increasing because we continue to add a lot of course content and more information to this particular membership. So if you've been thinking about becoming a member of TIA Premium, now is the time to do it. In less than 24 hours, the price will go up forever. If you do buy in now, then you get grandfathered into the lower price for as long as you are a member. So use the link in the top of the video description, check out the website, and we'll see you over there before the 1st of June. All right, back to the Bitcoin charts. Now for the current state of the price of BTC, as we said earlier, it's sitting at around $27,800. The highest price Bitcoin was at through this period of the green buy zone was at $25,300. So basically these tops here through August and through February. So if we look at that as a missed opportunity, it's approximately 10% now that we have left the buy zone. So the current price is approximately $27,800. It's essentially a 10% missed opportunity. But to the downside, what we've seen in terms of the history and the probabilities is that it's unlikely that this will drop back into the green zone. Now, there's one extra tool I wanted to add to the top of this, basically a filter. We're looking at the price of this indicator as it breaks out of the green zone because there have been a few false times that it has broken out. So I'm just looking at a price here of 0.5. 0.5. Basically, once it's hit 0.5, then it hasn't come back to the green zone. It's not saying that it won't ever come back to that zone, but in the history of this, we haven't seen it come back to the green zone once it hits that 0.5. So you can see going back to 2019, you got this move to the upside, we hit 0.5, and then away we go from that point. And the momentum really picks up after that. And so I focus a lot on the momentum and the market psychology because this is the hardest time to not buy Bitcoin. This is when everyone is talking about it and it's going really fast and hard and everyone's loving their hard, fast gains coming into the market, but no one loved buying it at the bottoms. So we're breaking past that 0.5 level when all that market sentiment starts to race back into the markets. So going back again, just to back test our signal here, well, there's 0.5. The market dropped, nearly hit the green zone, stayed around this level for the next several months until it finally used it as support, then bounced away from that level. And of course, from there we go. We go back into that 2016, 2017 massive bull market. So taking it back one step again, going to 2012, you can see the breakout here of 0.5, the retest, and then the breakaway. So you're welcome to use any sort of level for this line here. I've just gone back and done a bit of a back test and had a look at 0.5 seems to be a reasonable area that once it breaks through that, you might get a retest, you might get a bit of a pause here, but it rarely ever comes back within the next few months. The only occasion that we've seen was through the COVID pandemic of 2020, where after about 11 or so months, the market came back only on a very quick move to the downside when the rest of the market was in extreme fear and they were selling into this move rather than buying. And speaking of buying, most Aussies can't do that anymore on Binance. They're basically closing up shop, and the sponsor of the channel, yes, is Swyftx. They're doing 0% trading fees for the next 2 months until the end of July, but you have to sign up today and do your ID verification today. So if you want to get on board with that with your 0% trading fees for the next 2 months, as we look at that beautiful Bitcoin buying zone, not financial advice, then definitely sign up here. And even if you don't want to sign up or trade now, at least you've got the opportunity there to have a fresh account in case you do want to buy something in the future with 0% trading fees for the next couple of months. All right, that's enough of the shill of the channel sponsors. let's continue on with the sell opportunities for Bitcoin. Now, we've covered extensively the backtesting results of the green buy zone for BTC over the history of the last 11 to 12 years. We've looked at the perfect opportunities, how long they last for, the price ranges, the breakout zones, the zone where once we start to break past a particular level out of the buy zone, that we typically don't see it come back to that zone. And we've also had a look at where we currently sit and the missed opportunity. We looked at the highs within the buy zone being that 25,300 and where we currently sit, which is approximately 10% above those levels. So even if you were DCAing in this buy zone, using the green zone to keep getting in through this period while everyone else is telling you you're an idiot and a fool because the market's going to go to 10 grand, congratulations, you were buying in at a good point. But if you've missed out, then you're still only about 10% above where the market is. And if most people have a view of Bitcoin going to 100,000, maybe 300,000, maybe 500,000, then you've got a lot of upside with a limited downside. That's called asymmetric risk, and that's what we look for, especially with assets that are extremely high risk, such as Bitcoin. All right, let's get on with the selling side of BTC and how this indicator isn't so good at calling the sell side. Now, we've got the red area at the top, and over the history since basically 2011, it has hit the red side. 2011, 2013, you didn't get a re-entry buy opportunity there, so you maybe just take a little bit off the table and keep some in. Then you had another sell opportunity at the peak there at $1,200 in 2013. Moving forward to 2017, it didn't reach the buy zone until the very peak. So that's a pretty good sign there. You can just sell out into that top. But remember, there's a couple of nuances here. If you were selling in April of 2013, you would have missed out on that next $1,000 move from the low here of about $70 or $100 or the peak of $200 all the way up to $1,200. So there is some missed opportunity in there. So that's why I don't think the sell side of this particular indicator is so good. But there could be a slight adjustment we can make to this. Plus, on top of our other content, the other information that we publish here on the channel, make sure you do like and subscribe, going through the volume analysis and the swing chart, which we'll cover in future videos again, that also helps lead to where to get a better sell opportunity. So you can see the missed opportunity through 2013. We go into 2017, it actually worked out reasonably well. Again in 2021, it didn't work out so well because it never reached the red zone. You zoom in here, you can see that it never reached the red zone. So for the greens, you can see we're getting higher lows. So maybe one day when this market comes down, it doesn't reach the green zone as a buy opportunity. For now, it's working, but I don't ever expect that any one indicator will work forever. There's going to be times where it breaks down. You can see that this broke down once in 2013 and gave you two sell signals, probably because the market was so volatile. And then in 2021, it never reached the red area. This is just the default settings from this indicator. Now, of course, you could change the default settings to then go down and move this red zone further down. But then you're just playing with it and you might end up selling too soon. You're basically fiddling with the toys. You don't want to fiddle with the toys because sometimes things break. And if you don't know how they work, then you can't fix them. The other thing we can look at here, which might be helpful moving forward, because the volatility is reducing, meaning there's less movement in the price of Bitcoin, it's not going from $1 to 1,000. We're looking at it go from 3,000 to 60 or 70,000, so there's less of a percentage move. Then maybe we can see a downwards diagonal here that might line up with the next move to the upside. So maybe if we're looking in terms of time, like we covered in yesterday's video, where we're looking at time for BTC and previous videos as well, where this thing could come in for a next peak, then you might expect, well, in 2 years or so from now, based on this cycle as well, maybe we start to see a peak sometime in the second half of 2025, in which case you might get a reading here at about mid threes to high threes, maybe into the mid fours. So maybe you draw yourself a box here, keep it on the chart, and just look for potential sell opportunities. Not all of it. Don't be a degen and dump everything in the last moment. Maybe sell some of it to recoup the costs of what you've invested in at the low. That's basically setting yourself up with a plan. Make sure it's written down and you keep it somewhere that you can follow when things go crazy, because guaranteed 100%, the markets will go crazy at the peaks again. Just like they have gone extremely fearful at the bottoms, everyone telling you this thing's going to go lower and you're an idiot for buying and an idiot for calling this the start of a bull market. The same thing happens at the tops, because if there's something we've learned, humans basically don't learn anything from history. So I hope you found a ton of value from this video. If you did, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. Definitely share the content with a friend. And if you want to get this even sooner, go and follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, where I posted about this yesterday with a nice clean chart here, just looking at the time frames, the buy zones, and those other buy zones on the chart as well. Now I'm going to update this probably on a monthly basis just to keep up to date to see what happens with this particular indicator, as so far it's been a pretty good reader of history and where to buy into Bitcoin. And if you make some adjustments, some filters, maybe even where to sell BTC as well. Now, if you want further information from our trading courses and investment courses, TI Premium, as I said, that is going up in less than 24 hours. So use a link in the top of the video description. Join us over there. And of course, for the Aussies, you've got 0% trading fees for less than 12 hours now to get in on that. You got that for 2 months as well. So thanks once again, guys. Really appreciate your support. I'll see you at the next video. And until then, peace out.